I guess that's a good word.
They work together, but ultimately we've got to have one person that we can go to and say, what's going on in your group? And so that'll be the person to go
So
to.
the teacher will do that, the connect leader will be the one that's facilitating. It could be the same person if you only have one in your group, but again, you want to find one other person per role and be training them. Even if it's helping out with one question, you want to, by the end of the year, you want to have, one of your goals is to have enough to have another group with leadership. The communication person, basically that's the secretary, someone who's in charge of getting the emails and the text numbers and the phone numbers, and writing all that down, taking attendance. So you want to find someone that does that. And then the care person, did you see in the book in here, it said who is absent, who's getting together with them. The care person is in charge of either doing it themselves or assigning someone to do that. And this is to track them down. We're not doing contact testing with COVID. What we're doing is finding out if they're okay. And again, who's getting together with them? The reason we want to get together with them is explain the lesson, what they missed.
That was actually Greg Hershey's idea, as we were talking about, even with his schedule and his struggle to be there. He was saying, what if instead of just giving them the teacher's notes, what if somebody in the group gets together with them during the week and runs through the lesson?
Sure.
Man, that's
Good
a good idea.
And then also, when someone maybe is in charge of planning activities, I haven't heard of the same person, but it could be a separate person that would be do your service project or care project. You can do outreach events, whole family events. Obviously, if you're doing 11-week teaching and there's 14 weeks or whatever, there'll be an extra week somewhere where whole family might get together, and there isn't going to be extra weeks.
The weeks that are extra are the weeks that Quest and Youth are off.
Okay.
The weeks that Quest and Youth meet, there are 33 of those that correlate with our study meetings. So if you meet, let's say one of them is Valentine's Day. So if your group decides we'd rather just meet on Valentine's Day and just do one big it's February, one big meal, everybody together, that's fine. Get together. If you meet on Valentine's Day when Youth and Quest are off, you'll have all the kids with you. You don't need to do a study that night. But if Youth and Quest are meeting, you need to do a study because you only got 33 of them.
So the main point is utilize the gifts in your, the very outgoing person assigned them is the person keeping track, secretary. They don't mind calling people and checking on them and all that. Any questions or comments about this? Again, we're just barely scratching the surface.
Rich and I were talking about, in my group, I was talking about, okay, who would I get to become a facilitator, and how do you go about that? He was saying, take one question and say, hey, like, say Tom Shaw.
Yeah.
Say, Tom, I'm gonna have you ask this one to the class and have it do a follow-up on it of, okay, why do you come to that, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that gets them used to the idea of doing that, and pretty soon you can hand it off to them if you're gonna be not there for a week or whatever.
Yeah.
At least they, or if you're late, they can, okay, here's a time slot, I can start them off.
Yeah.
Is
So
that
you give them one question, or you could give them like prayer time.
right? Whichever.
Hey, next week you're gonna be in charge of prayer time.
Okay,
You have
yeah.
10 minutes.
Yes.
Come up with a way to get everybody to pray,
On page, yeah.
and then that way it's that you give them one little bit.
And then they get
Follow
more
up
and,
with them
and
and-
build on it, yeah.
Remember, the good thing about this schedule is people will not be bored, do not be scrambling around for things to do. You always want to leave them wanting more. And I think with the way this is set up, we're not going to be able to accomplish everything every week, and people are going to be excited and anxious to come back and participate. So rather than saying, oh man, do I have to do that again? I just suffered through that. That was horrible. So, any other questions?
I presume that the facilitator's gonna always be a man, right? What if a woman comes to you and say, I think I could do that?
Why not?
Wednesday.
But there's no, this is just a teaching position.
Well,
It's not really, I mean, I'm.
teaching position needs
Would
to
be a man, right,
Yeah.
but as a,
I would not
I would prefer.
want a female to be the leader
yeah.
in a group of men. Now, it doesn't mean she can't come up with the prayer time.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that she can't give, ask the follow-up questions from, the group did or whatever, and so there's an accountability thing on it. Doesn't mean she can't ask those questions or come up with that suggestion or the icebreaker that she can't. You know, it doesn't mean that a female can't contribute to the group, but I would not want to make a female the leader of a mixed group. Now, Anita has said that she does want to continue her Wednesday group. So if there's a lady who says, I really want to be the Connect group leader, great, talk to Anita.
That's a women's group too.
Yes,
right?
women's
Right.
only, yeah.
Yeah, be a ladies group that meets.
No, you can't go.
Yeah.
And they do have the opportunity to facilitate the group through the communication and the care responsibilities, because that's just as important as the other parts. It's just that they're not gonna be, because even in the Connect group time, there's a position of authority where they are responsible for the group and they are leading discussion, and a lot of times gauging answers and doing some teaching through that time. And so that's where we want to be careful to make a distinction.
One of the failures that we have as a church, not gospel particularly, but as a whole, is male leadership anyway. So we really want to emphasize the fact that God has called male to headship and to leadership. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about too, that there's some men that, you know, don't take that responsibility. I think that was talked about in a sermon recently that, you know, well, I'm not
Should be
leading my household, I just let the wife decide that, you
Yeah.
know.
should be a slap in the face to every man that there's a woman minister
Yeah.
in the pulpit.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. We've done our job, go to the women.
Now the other side of that is we've got to be careful that your wives, as you're teaching and Connect group leading, don't think that they can't ask a question. Because Rebecca is really good in discussions with asking that next question. She's really good at
So
hearing-
hand her one ahead of time.
Well, I don't need to. She's really
Oh,
good
yeah,
at
but I'm
hearing
saying we can
and
do
going, but why do you think that?
There you go.
And she's really
She
good at
helps
the follow-up
facilitate it,
questions.
yeah.
Yeah, she does help get the discussion.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, that clarifies things a little bit too, that don't feel like because you're female that you don't have the right to
No.
ask a further question.
No, not at all.
Good. Turn it back over to Pastor Stephen for any final words.
All right, you're dismissed, but I need to ask you a question. That way we're out.
Go for it.
So at this point, it looks like we're putting together for the Quest and Youth conglomeration 2 Sunday morning groups. Is that what we said? Yeah, 2 Sunday morning groups, and then 1 group that's going to meet on another night of the week, and then potentially 3, maybe 4 groups on Sunday night, and then this Anita's group during the week. Does anybody just jump up right away and say, I want to do a group not on Sunday night, no, other than Sunday morning? Like you and Ashley had talked about being in a group on Sunday morning, right? Or at least Ashley had said
Yeah.
that's what you all
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to.
Ashley, it's
did
your
say-
wife.
No, that's fine.
We're talking
Yeah,
about.
I'm forgetting who that is. Yeah, I think she did mention that because she said that would just make sure that,
Fit everything.
yeah, because during the week to be able to do another
Yeah.
day.
Okay, so I'll just throw at you what we basically talked about, and you tell me, no, I don't think that's going to work, or I'd rather do this instead. This is not an assignment, it's just as we were playing this out, trying to figure out how's this going to work. It was me, Kelly, Rich, and Chuck, potential for Sunday night teachers. Joe, and the other one. Joe, as one of the Sunday morning teachers, the other Sunday morning teacher we had thought of isn't going to do it. So that's an open slot. And then at this point, Jim is going to teach the, just say Tuesday for argument's sake, Tuesday night group. Your group already is used to meeting on Sunday night, so you probably aren't looking at switching anything.
I doubt.
Yeah,
It
that's
just
fine.
works better for.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just want to check.
Yeah.
Rich said he can if he needs to. Chuck, are you interested in doing a Sunday morning group as opposed to a Sunday night or some other night of the week group? Do you have a strong preference one way or the other?
I've always had this kind of desire to do, captured maybe that group of senior citizens that are retired have. And we tried this before in Connect Group, to put that out there for say a Tuesday morning, for
Midweek,
example.
okay, yeah.
Midweek. it didn't really pan out all that well. There wasn't a whole lot of interest in it, which kind of surprised me. Maybe it's just because it was just Connect Group and not
Right.
learnNECT, as we're calling it now. I would still like to do that if there was some interest there.
Okay.
A weekday morning or a weekday, yeah, evenings would work. Renita's still babysitting, but she's, you know, like after 6:30, she'd be available for that. But
Okay.
preference would be, you know, weekday morning if there's an interest in it. If not, then, you know, I'm open to whatever,
Okay.
wherever I'm needed.
Okay. Let me know what weekday that is then. Now, here's the follow-up question to that is.
Follow-up question.
Yes.
Good job.
The next question. Are you thinking in your mind you'll offer that as an adventure group as well, and then just roll right on into the same time slot for the learnNECT?
That would probably make I mean, I wouldn't be tied to that at the same
No.
time, but
But that's
if
kind of what you're
that group
thinking.
of people that you've already made that connection with, we'll just roll right
Yep.
into that.
Okay, I just wanted to double check and make sure that was, I think that's probably what's gonna happen is whatever groups end up happening for adventure group, those groups are probably gonna end up being the same groups as we go into the studies, but we'll still give them the option to sign up and see what happens, so. Nate, you want the Tuesday night with Jim, are you thinking, at least at this point, that you would be interested in helping with the Connect discussion? Are you thinking you were interested in doing some of the teaching? What, you don't wanna do any of it? Where are you at?
I'll do what I'm needed. I would prefer just to be the Connect group.
Okay. That's kinda what we were
If
thinking,
I'm needed.
but I didn't know where your druthers were. Okay. Larry? I forget where we had you. I think a Sunday morning group so that you and Sharon could come together, but we also talked about you guys might prefer a Tuesday night group. Have y'all talked that far about that?
No.
Okay.
Sharon's trying to work because I think she talked to you, PJ, this week about the 10:30 kids thing.
Yeah.
She's struggling with the 9:30 thing going away and not being able to be with the kids.
Okay. Because she's missing her time of ministering and serving.
Mhm.
Okay.
So she has, I don't know if she mentioned it to you, Jim, or not, but she's been trying to get them to change her schedule at Walmart, where she would be off on Sunday evenings so she could work in Quest.
Sweet.
Wait, let's pray.
But we don't know yet.
Yeah.
But the way they have the schedule, when she works evenings. It's
Yeah.
11 to 8, you know, right now she has it set, so Sundays she doesn't go until 3, but she doesn't ever get any morning slots anymore.
So, in whatever group you end up in, what are you thinking in terms of what your role might be in the group?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just not.
Let me just tell you.
I'm just not.
Lay it on him.
I'm just not.
Are you done yet? You still got a couple of days left.
I'm not measuring in days. I'm measuring in hours.
There you go. Good man.
30 at the end of today. That leaves me with 30.7 hours to work. Yeah, about 30 hours.
I couldn't remember if it ran out midweek this week or midweek next week.
Midweek next week. But Wednesday, my goal is to be finished by noon Wednesday.
There you go. Good for you.
I mean, it won't be effective until September 1st, but you know, they're giving us furlough days, and I have to use my 2 furlough days, Thursday and Friday, because they've already taken my money for them.
Yep.
So.
Okay. Well, and that's fine that you don't have an answer. If you did, I wanted to kind of find out where you're at. I know where you're at.
And I know one of the, so I'll talk to you late after this.
She did get with me and we gave her some instructions. She's trying to get her staff together.
Yeah.
So I'm
Checking to see where she's at.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. That's what I need to know at this point. I'll talk to you after for just a second. Okay. That answers that question. We'll start sign-ups not this coming Sunday, but the next Sunday for adventure groups. I didn't print that out for you guys, did I? No. Adventure groups are going to be a few passages from Romans. We're going to go through and look at how Romans points out our relational Christianity. And it's going to start with our relationship to God, and then go to our relationship to the world, and our relationship to the church, and then our relationships with each other individually. So that'll be what Adventure Groups runs through. We're thinking that because of the way the learnNECT groups are structured, and you guys tell me what you think, we're thinking maybe give you guys a 10 to 15 minute study that's a companion study to cover at the beginning of Adventure Group and then go into your question time. So for example, one of the weeks is on our relationship to each other. Well, originally I was thinking 1 Corinthians 13, the chapter on love and how it behaves, but that's not really Romans. So maybe Romans 12 is on Sunday morning, and then your Adventure Group gets together and you have a 10, 15 minute lesson out of 1 Corinthians 13, which spurs on then the discussion of the sermon time. Do you guys think that would be too much for you in the Adventure Group, or do you think that'd probably work out pretty good? As long as we give you those lessons, not, hey, come up with your own. We're gonna, provide those for you, obviously.
Everybody will be doing the same one in
Yes.
adventure groups.
Yep.
I think it worked out.
Yeah, as long as we had the material, I think that would be manageable.
All right. Okay. Cool.
Good.
Sorry you missed it, Dan. Watch the video, Dan. Hey, somebody come up with a code word he has to know because he watched the video that he can tell us. Somebody give him some strange word to tell me that we can prove he watched the video.
Mary Poppins word, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.